You know, they say that good things come to those who wait. And this episode happened to be the best one yet. Episode 3, that is. We got to see a little bit more than just sob stories this episode. We got to see actual sobbing, you know. And one thing that I do like that this show is bringing is real, raw authenticity, whether that be good stuff, whether that be ugly stuff, and whether that just be stuff that's plain old ugly. What is poppin', y'all? We back at the DeAndre Way with the third review of the third episode, the first review of the third episode of the Rhythm and Flow season 2 on Netflix. We making our way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and we on our way home. Getting there at least halfway home. But yes, this was episode 3. And this episode was actually my favorite episode so far. A lot, like I said in the first two podcasts of the episode 1 and 2, were just a lot of sob stories, a lot of disheartening, a lot of people down and out, people just living just rough. And after a while, I'm just like, are they trying to just make this show all about despair instead of rhythm and flow? I thought it was despair and sorrow. That was the show because everyone was had the worst stories imaginable. But this episode, we got to advance past the initial audition round. A little different than the first season, as they showed him going through a bunch of different cities. This one, I think they just stayed in one city the whole time, and I don't mind it. I did like them going to different cities. That kind of brought a different vibe out with each round. But I do appreciate them getting the auditions kind of up and out the way and get really into like the raw cut material of everything else because I believe they kept less people this season than last season too after the first initial audition round. So that was interesting as well. We get to see Miss Remy Ma in her blazing glory. She's a legend in the booth and in the building. And we see the groups get formed, and some people rise up and hit a home run, and some people strike out like Aaron Judge in the World Series. But y'all, we gonna get to episode 3 right now. So we get left off with Homie Gold. We didn't know if she was gonna make it or not. They were like yes and no. And Homie Gold, if you don't remember, she's like the one that's kind of doing the Nicki Minaj gimmick, where you're changing your voice like this and then like this. Like she was doing all that. I was from her. She was cool. I like the originality, but she was just lacking that stage presence for me. But they decided to keep her. Then we get this. Let me be kind, y'all. Then we get this artist named Chang Diamond. I hope I'm saying that right. From Nebraska, big girl. Uh, she definitely is. She had another struggle story. She said she had a kid when she was 17. She said, "I'm a kid raising a kid." I agree. I think you having kids at 17, unless you are mentally mature for that and ready to go, then cool. But I don't think any Gen Zs are should be having kids, or millennials really. In this matter of fact, should be having kids at 16, 17 years old. But people do it anyways, and they decide not to wear condoms and just have sex all over the place, and that's just what it is. So it's a repeating cycle. That's why these families can't get out of the situation they're in, because right when the kid gets of age, boom, another kid. Thousands more dollars in debt. You know it costs $10,000 to birth a baby in a hospital? So you're already in debt before life even really gets started. You're starting a new life, but you're starting a new life in debt. And, she probably has been to the grocery store one too many times with that, but we don't get into that. She was good, though. I did like her a lot. She came really hard. She was going in, and they let her through. So this next one kind of hits home a little bit, y'all. We get this girl, Liu Kang. Now, if you don't know who Liu Kang is, you might have been living under a rock, or you just You need to educate yourself. But Liu Kang is, and you didn't play video games. Liu Kang is a fighter from Mortal Kombat. One of the best fighters in the game, I might add. One of the main characters. I played a lot of Mortal Kombat growing up. And she said her name's Liu Kang. I was like, oh, that means you about to slice somebody up. That means you about to come with this business. And she's from my hometown of Kansas City. I was seeing places that I saw growing up. I was seeing places I see every time I go back. I was like, okay, this girl from Kansas City, let's get it. You got a rep for the city. Now, they gave her a lot of time with her backstory and whatnot, and she didn't have a sob story. This girl's fully Asian. She says her parents do not really speak English, but she talks pretty black, to put it bluntly. You know, I've seen some Asian people talk with major ebonics, but she took the cake on this, y'all. She was definitely, if I was listening to her, I definitely wouldn't think she's Asian. Kind of like Blue. If you watch Big Brother, reminds me of a little bit of Blue Kim esque. But yes, she gets started, and I was like, okay, let's come on, do it for KC now. Like, we got a rep for the hometown, and she goes in, and you can hear the shakiness in her voice. You can hear the quakes. You can hear that she's not confident. And it's just a wreck from the start. And yes, they told her no, she needs more work as a whole. It was all consensus no. Very sad to see from my hometown. But shout out Liu Kang, man. I'm gonna try and get her on the podcast and see what her experience was like. Cause she's from KC. We know mutual people. I'll try and reach out to some other folks too as we go along. But definitely I would like to hear kind of how her experience was and what she has done since the show has ended. Maybe she's ready to go back on season 3. We'll see. But yeah, it was a no for her. And then we get this white guy named Cody Ray, and he's nice. He's really got the flow. He got the flow. Giving me Macklemore look-alike vibes, but definitely he was nice. He was clean with it. He came prepared, and he's another dark horse in this race. I actually like him a lot. So far, my winner pick is. We'll get to my winner pick later. But yes, he gets a yes really easily. Then we get this young guy named Quinn J. He's from LA. He's also a trumpet player. And he's very appreciative of old jazz music. Now, I like this dude right here. He's actually coming from the roots of black music and using that to intertwine himself and make himself stand out and using that as his, I won't say act, but as his foundation. And that's definitely something that I can appreciate. You know, all these artists are a lot of these artists on the show are good, but I think this really helps him stand out, and all these artists really should kind of, advance themselves, do their own thing, but at the base core, if you relate it back to something in the past, we're using it, a lot of them using that old school beat, use some old school references, and if this brother was doing it, man, he was doing it. I like him a lot, and he was one of the most original people in the whole audition process. They gave him an easy yes. And that's a wrap for the auditions. So, like I said, the auditions, they came, it went. I believe they only stayed in one city the whole time. We got some good guests, Busta Rhymes, Big Sean. Shout out to them, legends in the game. And yeah, they did their thing. So, like, we go into the ciphers, and before we get there, though, they show a little meeting between Lotto and Luda. They're in this room, and there's maybe this plexiglass that's not like you can't see from the other side, like non-see-through, and so they're seeing all the artists like practice, train, and work out. I think they can't be seen because they're like eating lunch and whatnot, talking about everything in the competition. Not really that important of a scene. They're just giving their opinions about how things are going. It kind of feels like a love and hip hop transition scene. They could have done without it, in my opinion, but they decided to add that, and they showed a snippet of Lotto's XL cipher. I didn't watch that cipher. I don't really know how she is in a cipher, and I'm just gonna keep it at that. Maybe I'll have to check it out more. So, but then we bring out They come out to the remaining contestants and they bring out Thurin Thomas. If I'm saying his name wrong, I apologize. But Thurin Thomas is a songwriter. He's written songs that you probably have heard of before if you listen to black music or even white music. He wrote Sean Kingston's song "Take You There." We can move to the tropics, sail away you are, shawty, I'ma take you there. He wrote Miley Cyrus's "We Can't Stop." Everyone knows that song, very iconic song. And then Rihanna's "Pour It Up," iconic as well. He helped write, I think, did a lot of work on one of Rihanna's albums. I think the red and white album. And so I don't remember the name of that album. I'm missing the name of the album, but he's definitely a good songwriter, and he's there to kind of help them out with the process of maybe rearranging their sounds, arranging, the way they're gonna present the cipher and whatnot. They didn't really show him like get into it with the groups like individually. They kind of just showed him he was there. He introduced himself, said his spiel, and then went on. So I don't know if we'll see him again, but they kind of shafted him on that part. So what they decide to do is they decide to put the remaining contestants into 5 groups of four-ish. I think it's all in four, so there's 20 people left. 4 to 5 people in each group. And it's kind of like randomized, which I wish they would have like made captains and then made them pick. That would have been pretty dope just to spice things up a little bit. But they get randomized groups, and Jay Taj is my favorite because in this group setting, he's taken over as captain. It seems like he's the one that's really got that swag, got that essence of a star to me. I think he's gonna win. I don't know any spoilers either, so I like Jay Taj a lot, and all the groups get together, they're vibing, they're clashing in a good way. They're collaborating and they're trying to find a good way to present this cipher. Now, I am not a cipher expert. I can freestyle. I can rap a little bit. I have a couple songs out there. If you want to hear the songs, let me know and I'll plug the songs. But to me, a cipher to really make it stand out as a team. Now they're looking. It seems like they're being portrayed as a group, not just individuals. Yes, they have to go their individual flow, but it seems like it's a team effort and they're being judged as a whole and then individuals after that. They had some good ideas, bounce things off each other, compliment each other, rise each other up, or one person can take everybody down. I think that if they put a little musicality, a little showmanship into the cipher, and what I mean by that is, say one person starts da 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 da, other person comes in da 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 da, and the first person finish it da 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 da, and then keeps on going, and then another person jumps in, and they jump out, and then they finish theirs, and then they're kind of like a feature on their verse. You know what I mean? I think that would be lit. I wonder if someone group will do that. I think that's one of the most lit and creative things to do because in the music business, you will work with other artists. And if you can show that you can add a cool feature to it, hey, there's you. Akon was featured on a ton of stuff. T-Pain featured on a ton of stuff that's not their own. And it's just as big. They're just as big because of those songs as they are because of their own. So I hope a group implements that. In this episode, we did not really see that, but I hope that would be my game plan going into it because it gives them judges something that they wouldn't expect. It's an individual competition, yes, but this isn't we're going at each other. They're performing this in front of the judges. So, because it's a cipher, you're not going at people. You're working as a team. But maybe I'm thinking too far outside the box. Maybe that's not a good idea. Who knows? Let me know what you think about that. But yes, they're vibing well and whatnot. Everyone's collaborating. They have a couple riffs and tiffs. I believe once the Detroit Diamond, she's having a little attitude with someone. I want to say Zono. The names, we'll get back to the names. I don't think it's Detroit Diamond. It's somebody else. Somebody else. But then we see Remy Ma show up as a guest judge for this episode. She's helped judging the ciphers. She's a rap queen in the game. She's been around the block, and they should be nervous. Like I said in the show, they should be nervous for Remy Ma because she's not gonna hold back on these people. And soon we get the first group going, and the first group is Detroit Diamond, C4, K Alley, Callie, however you say his name, and Yoshi Vintage. Now, this group was nice. They gave him a good beat too. I think the beat does matter in these ciphers, as we soon see to an extent. And they kill it. They all go up there, do their thing. Everyone shines in their own right, and the judges pretty much give them all good feedback about the group. Now, it's time for group two. In this group, it is Chang Diamond, which is the Nebraska big girl. Dre TL, I do like Dre TL. Melina, and J Wop. Yeah, I don't remember J Wop, but I do remember JTL and Shine Diamond, of course, because Shine Diamond was on this episode. That's where she premiered herself. And so they get up there, and Shine Diamond, she starts getting frozen up like Frozone. She starts getting iced out, and she don't know what to say, don't know what to do. And her teammates, the people, her cipher mates even look shook because she's the first one up. If you're the first one up, you gotta come in guns blazing because that's setting a precedent to how the rest of the cipher could be. And so it's a little concerning. I won't say a little, very concerning. And you could see it in her face. She gets shook and she doesn't know what to do. But she starts off finally, and she's just forgetting lines, and she's just all over the place. It's a mess, y'all. It's a mess, and she just did not kill it at all. She's probably going home. Dre TL is up next, and he picks up the group. I actually like the flow that he brings, so I think he did all right. I don't like the beat to their. I think Group One had a better beat, in my opinion. I think that didn't make like uh Chine Diamond mess up. I don't think the beat, but it was just it wasn't helping anything. Melanai is next. She does all right. She does all right. And then J Wop is next, and he killed it. So it was mostly just Chine Diamond that kind of like made it all start off soft. Everyone else kind of held their own. So I'm interested to see kind of how that goes with the judges. And Homie Gold is last in this group. So this group has 5 people: Chine Diamond, Dre TL, Mylanaya, J Wop, and Homie Gold. And Homie Gold is last. So if you last, you got to take it home. It's funny how they put the worst person first and last. Ugh. And she just stands up there. It's her turn to go, and she's late for one. And she just stands there. She's like, I don't know. I was like, wait, you don't know? Well, what you mean you don't know? She doesn't say a single word from the beginning, y'all. She just stands there. And look, if you forget your words on the cipher, it is what it is, but you got to keep it going. I think it would have been way more impressive if she went up there and freestyled it rather than just not do anything at all. And she eventually went up there, but she messed it up and she just kind of just played it off horribly. Like it was very bad, y'all. It was terrible, to be honest with you. If you mess up, you got to power through it. You can't just stop. And that's the worst trait and quality that you could ever show. The not willing to fight. You fought to get to this point. I mean, she barely made it to get in this round as it is, and she's shitting bricks. So I think her time is up. She did terrible. She didn't even seem like she tried that hard. But like I said, if I'm messing up, I'm gonna start freestyling. I'm gonna start saying something. It's better to say something and mess up than say nothing and kind of just go with the flow of your already messed up script. So I think she's gone. I think Shining Diamond is gone. They messed up terribly. So I think this is their time to kind of present. You can't, in this competition, you don't have time to be having bad days. You don't. Unless you're somebody like D Smoke, he never had a bad day, then everyone's going to come bringing it. And the moment that you show this, why would they keep somebody that messed up and maybe even didn't try over somebody who came prepared. You only get one chance. There's no redos. There's none. And so the judges weren't very impressed. They kind of ripped into him a little bit. And Shine Diamond is now crying Diamond. Ah, she knows she's got to go back to Nebraska. She's got a lot of nails too, might I add. Her nails are pimped out. And that is how we end the episode. I did like this episode because it got a little more real. We got to see more than just sob stories from people's lives. I like to see a mixture of good and bad. I think that's why American Idol was so popular because you showed the great singers and you showed the not so great singers, William Hung settings. But I think that's good to show transparency because it shows authenticity throughout the show. Not everyone's going to make it. You know, they didn't show as many bad people in the audition, but it's important to show that as well, to show like the people who's making it is really, really good. Because if everyone's making it, nobody seems like that amazing. You know what I mean? But yes, y'all, that was the third episode of Rhythm and Flow Season 2. I am looking forward to seeing episode 4. Hopefully, I can get to it tonight or tomorrow, most likely tomorrow. And I know a new batch of episodes released tomorrow, too, so we might just have to binge this thing, y'all. But we go on one at a time for the podcast because I love y'all. And thank you for tuning in once again to the DeAndre Way. And as always, peace, blessings, deuces. I'll see y'all at the next one. And have a great, great rest of your night.